Yeah.
All right.
You want to start?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, clap. Boom. That's for the edit.
Welcome.
Welcome.
We're back. Today, I don't think I was. I didn't think I was going to get here.
No. Well, I'm glad you're here.
We've been running around. I didn't think I was going to get here this week, but we're here.
We're here.
Art of showing up.
Yeah, the art of showing up. Exactly.
Well, let's start it. This is the Dad Tribe podcast.
Yeah.
My name is JC, a marketing expert, father, and husband. And
I'm John. I'm a fitness expert, husband, dad, entrepreneur, trying to be the best I can be. Here today to talk it out with my friend JC.
I always forget entrepreneur in mine. I need to start adding that into my intro.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm also getting used to the mic, so I'm like leaning into it.
I can do it.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I think that, well, you've also had so many more businesses. I don't think that it's not as prevalent of a title to you. It's just kind of like who you are. And to me, I've only had one business, right? So it's like, it's still this like bragging thing, like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. Yeah. And
I was definitely like that in the beginning for sure.
I guarantee you that I can't spell the word entrepreneur without autocorrect.
Yeah, I've tried many times and failed.
I know it starts with an E and ends with entrepreneur.
It's like in the beginning it was business. I was like business. I would always fuck up on that. But yeah, entrepreneur. As I figured out business and how to write it, then entrepreneur is the tough one for sure.
Yeah.
So, today's episode, we are going to be talking about mental health, mindfulness, meditation, centering ourselves, if you will, and how that revolves around us being fathers and entrepreneurs.
Yes, and before you click away, turn it off. This is not going to be like you need to sit and do the ohms. This is very much a much more modern day practical application that we use in our own lives. Just kind of sharing our stories on it, and hopefully, maybe teaching you something or confirming something you already believe in, maybe. So where do you want to begin in this journey? Because I feel like you have a much deeper connection to this because I perceive you to have a much higher stress level than I currently do in my life. Specifically over the last week, I know we've talked a lot about how much is going on with your professional life and also your family life and also your personal home life. It seems like you've got a lot of balls in the air. So I guess let's start with the first question that comes to mind for me is like, when all of that is going on, it feels like you have 15 balls in the air. What's your order of operations to make sure that you stay as centered as possible? Like, you're not going to stay enlightened. You're not a monk,
right? Not at all.
What, not even close. Like let's go with one. What do you define as being centered, and then two, how do you get there? What are your go-tos to make sure you stay there? What is center?
It's a great question. First, I want to start off and let my wife know my balls are not in the air. I want to be very clear. They're not in the air. They are currently not in the air.
Can confirm, not in the air. I checked.
Man, that's a loaded fucking question, dude. So let me start off with, I think it's great that we have this episode today because yes, like you're saying, shit has been cray lately as we start to unfold this second iteration of my marketing company and all the endeavors that we're working on. We're dealing with a lot of moving targets and a lot of moving targets. That's the best way I can explain it, man. Everything's a little crazy right now. So, but yeah, things have been definitely crazy. I think we've talked about this in other episodes. I think I've been here before, right? I've had multiple businesses, specifically, my biggest business to date, which was Better Brand and that rise and fall that we've discussed. I've been here before, and I think one of the areas that I'm so excited about and I'm so happy about and where I'm at right now is that I do find myself centering myself so much more than I did in the past. And it's taken so many steps and so many falls to get there that I'm really excited. And this week I found myself in a very similar predicament as I have been in the past, where I'm traveling a lot, I'm on the road a lot, I'm there's so many different moving parts to my day and to my day to day. We've been in Miami a lot, which I love the city. I love the culture. I love my culture. I don't love being in Miami for more than 4 or 5 days anymore. It's like kind of like Vegas. Like, hey, 3 days max. Miami is very similar to that, and it does get my stress level up. And it's funny. I was telling Mari yesterday, the day before, I was like, the last 2 days being here in beautiful Dunedin, I've had more calls, more meetings, more like just everything Zoom, and it's been nonstop, like you've seen today.
Yeah.
And I felt way more stressed in Miami, which I had a little bit less of that because I was just going to physical meetings, but it was more like lunch and finishing off contracts, stuff like that. But I felt way more stressed, and just because of your environment, and your environment's so important. So to kind of segue into that, I think one is environment, right? That's a big part of me centering myself, is making sure that my environment is built for me and for my family and for our comfort. It kind of contradicts a lot of like stoicism and what we believe in too, is which a lot of stoicism is like, make sure that you're doing the hard things and everything around you is hard so that you can tackle the things in life that come at you. So it's a little bit contradictory, but I think there's a hybrid there, and I really do believe in your environment and building your environment to be peaceful and stress-free as much as you can.
So when you're speaking of your environment in this realm, is it specifically home?
Yeah, home.
So
my home base, like I like to call it.
are there any things that you consciously do or have put in place to create that environment? Is it no meetings after 6 p.m.? Is it family dinners? Is it I always watch a show with Braden? Are there things like that you've implemented?
So the first one that comes to mind is I wake up 90% of the time at 5 in the morning. Okay. And that's really big for me because I've noticed in myself that if I wake up in a hurry, stressed, we got to get out the door, got to get Braden to school, I don't function well. I don't like it. I don't function well. The rest of my day, there's a rhythm, a negative rhythm to the rest of my day.
It's like you started behind and now you're behind.
Yeah, and I hate that feeling. I like to be ahead of the curve. I like to be, on top of my shit.
Got it.
So I hate that feeling. And so one of the things that I've done in my own life, and by the way, I read this yesterday in a Ryan Holiday book, Discipline is Destiny. He talks about it. It's like nobody likes to wake up at 5 in the morning. Nobody does. Like but maybe my dad because he's a fucking alien. But nobody likes to wake up at 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning, whatever the case may be. Like nobody likes that shit. But I've found so much pleasure in waking up at that time because I can get ahead of the curve. I can get ahead of my day. Unfortunately or fortunately, a lot of my team is in Spain, so they're actually up before I get up. So I do sometimes feel like I'm already behind work because they've got stuff for me that they need, they're pending, they're midday over there. So it's like,
I sent this to you 3 hours ago and you're like,
to lunch. I'm like, it's 5 in the morning here. But, being ahead of the curve is one of the things that I've implemented in my own life that I think is a big game changer for me and for our family, because at the end of the day, it's the, I heard this quote today, selfishness to selflessness, which is in order to get to selflessness and be there for your family and show up for your family, show up for your team, your family, whatever the case may be, you have to be selfish. Like there's things you need to implement into your life that are important to you being the best version of you. Yeah. And if you can't get that, then you can't show up 100% for the people around you that need you. And that's one of the things that I've implemented is like, sometimes it is selfish for me to wake up at 5 in the morning. Like Mari's a kind of a night owl. Like she likes to watch TV at 10:30 at night, whatever. And I tell her, like, yo, shut off the TV. Like I need to be up at 5. And it's not to be a dick. It's really not. Like sometimes if you asked her, maybe I am a little bit of a dick about it at night. But it's because for real, man, I need to wake up at that time. It's not I want to. It's not I like to. It's like, no, I need to wake up at that time to be able to be there for my team, be able to be there for my family, most importantly, and be the best version of me possible. And on the road, it's tough sometimes because right now going to Miami, I'm not going to spend money to rent anywhere or rent a hotel. So we stay at my mom's, and I love it. She's a very hospitable. Even if we stay at Mari's mom's, they're very hospitable. They're great, but they're there. I can't just wake up in the morning, go downstairs, and turn on my computer. Or in my mom's, it's one floor. She actually she sleeps by the living room, so it's tough. So that time frame, it kind of kicks me out sometimes. So again, kind of the segue to your original question is, it's tough when you get things thrown at you, but having that home base, and that's part of what I've instilled in my own life, having that home base of those habits and procedures and systems that I've put together for me and for my family are really what keep me centered and keep me kind of moving forward, and my family centered, really. Because again, if I don't wake up at 5 a.m, it's going to be a shit show for the rest of the family, because I just need to set things up, and it's my job, it's my responsibility, and it's kind of how I've taken it, and for my team too. So that's one of the things. Definitely eating as a family. We don't do so in a traditional sense, like round table. What's the movie? Christmas Vacation, where they're they're having the family dinner, or that's Thanksgiving, but you know what I mean. We don't do the traditional sit down and all eat and talk about our day. We do. Braden's 3 years old too. He doesn't want to talk about his day with me.
He's not going to want to talk about his day ever. But
well,
he doesn't have the vocabulary
correct.
quite yet.
Well, he's getting there with the vocabulary, but
this effing
circle time and Buzz Lightyear. But having some sort of, hey, it's dinner time. Even if Braden's just running around, because most of the time we put the plate there for him, and he just kind of runs around and he'll have a chicken nugget, then run around, and it's fun. Sometimes
it's fun. He rolls his eyes.
Whoa, we broke the table. No, we're good. We just can't lean on it much.
I didn't think I was.
Our set is breaking.
Okay. Well, oh yeah.
We can't lean on it.
We can't lean on the table anymore. All right.
We'll get a new table.
Yeah. Hey, count how many times we lean on the table from here on out. I'm going to try not to because this is my MO right here, is to do this. So before we get too far off, right? You said one thing in there that really resonates with me, and that's you have to be selfish in order to reach selflessness. And I am a firm believer in that also, in the sense that being selfish has gotten such a bad rap. It's so negative. It almost comes out of your mouth like it hurts your teeth, right? It's a bad word. And I think that's only been misconstrued because nobody, and we've talked about this, nobody in the past seemed like they were doing personal development intentionally. You were learning on the job, you were learning from someone else in front of you, you were learning from your teachers. But things you didn't get from them, you didn't take the time to go and learn that on your own. You didn't take that selfish time to grow yourself. And now that is something that I feel is, and again, maybe this is the technological age, maybe whatever, but I feel like more people are putting more time into personal development, maybe because it used to be called self-help, which also kind of hurt, right? It's I don't need help.
I don't need self-help.
I don't need help.
It used to be called self-help books.
Yeah. But now it's personal development, right? Which feels so much more building. It's like the difference between an opportunity and you're doing it wrong, or you have an opportunity to do it better, right?
Correct,
those things. So I'm a firm believer in the selfish before you're selfless, because you have to be the best version of yourself to show up for other people. And this,
you have to.
You use the example of your family, your wife, your kid, but it also could be your employees, your coworkers, the people you interact with at the supermarket. Maybe you're someone who's never been a server before, and you go and you're rude to servers like that. You got a little personal development to work on to be a better human to help everybody.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes you have to take that selfish route to get to selflessness.
And I think it's important to note that we're specifically talking about people that would like to be and know that they can be leaders of, and this is very important, because I don't think what you just said and what we're saying now resonates with necessarily everybody.
Oh, absolutely not.
Because there's not, and by the way, it's okay. There are people that lean on other people by default. It's the whole concept of there are entrepreneurs and there are 9-to-5 workers, and there's no negative connotation to either.
No.
And I think historically, or at least in the last 15 years, there's been that negative connotation to like being a 9-to-5 worker. No, fuck that. Like the entrepreneurs need the 9-to-5 workers. Like they need that consistency, etc. And I think there's also a conversation to be had. Like not everybody is going to be into personal development. Not everybody wants to be into personal development. There is a bee or a wasp. We're having a great day on the podcast.
What is going on?
A great day on the podcast.
That is a hornet. All right, time out from the podcast.
Time out. We're going to kill a hornet right now.
Oh my God.
I think...
you think there's spray somewhere?
I think we... Oh, shit. This is going to make for a great podcast.
Get caught in the fan. How did you miss the fan blades? Bro.
This would be great if it were live TV.
Come on. Hit the fan.
Oh man.
I just want the fan to kill it. That would be hilarious. How did you get in here? Oh, he's gonna go in the...
Yeah!
Oh, he's
No!
pissed. No, he's pissed.
Wow.
No, he took a big hit. Oh.
You got him.
Where'd he go?
I don't know.
Where'd he go?
Man, if the fan didn't get him.
Did I demolish him?
Yeah, you destroyed him.
Too bad that's not in slow motion. He's not in my chair, right? I don't want to sit on his stinger or something.
Tell me you got that on camera.
I got me hitting him probably on camera, but I don't know if you can see him.
No, I think we're good.
Where did he go? That's wild.
Yeah, you destroyed
I
that
want to
guy.
like turn on the Roomba and like make sure we get him. All right.
Oh, he's over there. He's over there. I don't know, like dead.
You sure?
Yeah, that's him.
I know. Like, make sure he's dead.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, but fucking step on him. Yeah. There you go.
I made a big crunch.
I am gonna fully petition to keep this in the podcast. By the
I
way,
did not.
this whole segment needs to be in the
Oh, I
podcast.
did not like stepping on. That was a big crunch for a little bug.
That was a big ass hornet, though.
Oh, okay. It was a big ass hornet, but that I didn't expect the pop that I just felt under my foot to happen.
Yeah, it's gross.
Now I need one of those.
Glad that happened to you.
Oh my God. He dead though. Don't you worry about it. He dead.
100% dead.
Okay.
We're having a hell of a.
What the fuck
this is
are we
the-
talking
This is
about?
the universe really testing us at the moment.
Oh my God.
We will finish today.
Okay. So
Okay. So kind of to
we were
get
talking
back
about there's multiple types of people.
There is multiple types of people, and
Okay.
I think there's that's very important.
There are the people who kill hornets and the people who run away from them.
I was running away, by the way.
I was a killer.
Which great job, by the way. You were helped by the fan, but great job.
Fan.
He hit it twice. The fan hit him twice.
The fan got. He went through it 3 times.
Yeah.
He only got knocked once.
I know.
All right. Enough about the hornet. You're famous now, by the way.
For all 8 people.
Oh,
remember the
okay,
table.
count it.
Remember
Count
the
it.
table.
Okay.
So yes, there are 2 types of people. There are, I think, people that won't resonate with this message, and it's okay. Again,
Yeah.
I think this is more for we're talking more towards people that view themselves as leaders of either their family or their whatever they feel they're leading.
I think you could oversimplify it into the people who are willing to change and the people who aren't. I think you could oversimplify it into the people who want to do more and the people who are content.
Yeah.
And not to put people in camps and put them down. If somebody is content, they may be happy with what they're doing.
100%.
There are people who are never ever going to exercise because one, they're not passionate about their health and fitness, right? Or they don't know enough to think it's a problem. There are people who are never going to put money in a savings account because they either don't know or they don't trust something about the banking system, right? There's all kinds of reasons, and you're absolutely right.
Right.
And I think that's what the point that you're getting to, I totally agree with, but I want you to finish what you're saying.
No, that there are essentially 2 different types of people. There's people that I feel like they can lead and can lead,
Should lead.
and should lead, right? And then there's people that don't want to lead, and maybe they have other traits, very powerful traits that are great for leaders to use and help leaders get to where they need to get to, and don't want this, personal development route.
Yep.
They're okay being okay, and that's okay in a lot of aspects, for sure. I don't vibe with that.
No.
That is not who I am.
So how did you know that you were going to be a leader or wanted to be a leader?
Man, I don't know. I've always felt that way. Even when I was playing baseball, even when I was captain on my team in high school.
Did you know it internally, or did someone point it out to you?
Internally, always. Like I've always been the grab the spear and let's run type guy. Does it make sense? Like,
yeah. You're through the wall first.
Yeah, I'm through the wall first. Like, let's go. Like, I'll build the bridge. Like, I'll build the channel for us. Let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll pave the road for us type deal. It's just been always internal. By the way, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Like that road that I'm paving leads into a lake. Like,
and then I mean, that's when you get into the nuance of what type of leader are you? You're a lead from the front kind of leader.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you get into leader versus manager. Right. And there's
which ironically enough, or not ironic, I don't know if that's the right word, but I've developed so many managing skills because I have always been run through a wall first. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, you made
and
mistakes.
I've made mistakes, and I've become I've become very anal in my management, like very much, and my systems building and making sure that we have SOPs and KPIs and all the bullshit terms that corporate uses.
All the acronyms.
But there is a place for it, and there's a place for organizations and systems, and I've been very meticulous in this quote unquote resurgence of mine as an entrepreneur and as a leader, to make sure that that's part of my foundation that I build in whatever I'm building. And it's partly why I'm able to do the things that I'm doing currently now with the iterations of VBL and my business, because we've built such robust systems and such a robust team that has bought into, we were talking about this earlier, that has bought into these systems, okay? And now I'm able to copy and paste these systems to even companies that we were just doing marketing for. Now they're bringing us on and saying, hey, we need help on the management side. We need help in the systems side. How can you help us optimize? And on a marketing and sales side of things, I'm not.
But it's more B2B.
There's a lot of B2B, for sure. So I think that's been one of the foundations of like I said, the new resurgence of me of myself as a leader and as an entrepreneur in my new endeavors. And by the way, it's not just learning from mistakes that I've made. It's learning from people that I've worked under. It's learning from endeavors that I've done. It's learning from things that are not even business. It could be sports that I've learned these traits from. But yeah, to answer your question, I've felt this way internally. In a weird way, I've always felt like I need to be in the front. I need to lead, like that I can take the brunt of whatever comes our way for whoever's behind me or with me or rowing with me, like my dad says, always row. Whoever's rowing with me, like I want to take the brunt of that, and in this case, for my family, for my team, I've always felt that way. Yeah, it's an internal thing for sure.
Yeah, the big theme
I've been told, but it's an internal thing.
The big theme that I want to point out that you kept saying is that you wanted to keep, you learned from this, you learned from that. It's that constant learn, that constant improvement, which is more along the lines of that personal development. It doesn't always come from a book. It doesn't always come from your experience. It can come from someone else's experience. And I think that we also learn to parent that way. I think that you see sitcom dads, you see your own family, you see ways definitely not to do it, right? And they're all routes and they're all thoughts that may even cross your mind. We talked in another episode about that first night that you couldn't get your kid to sleep and how frustrating it was. And I spoke on how I had to put her down and walk away because the anger within me was starting to be directed at a child who did not know she was doing anything that was bothering me. She's not doing anything that should bother me. She's just being a baby. But understanding and recognizing those things so that we can learn, grow, improve, become the type of people we want to be, all of that can be layered into this centering, this meditation or whatever term we used at the start of the episode. For me, my centering starts a lot with like how I want to be perceived.
You talked about this last episode
in the world, right? Like I don't want to be, because the idea I have of me is very different than the one I want other people to see.
Okay.
Meaning, I'm my own worst critic, right? I will talk bad about myself in my head. I will cut myself down about how quick to anger I am. And I'm very aware of some of these things. And when it comes to being a manager, a leader, a dad, a husband, I want to make sure that I'm not putting my worst foot forward every single time. And so I'm the current thing that I'm working on in my development is trying to be centered in the moment, or as quickly to the moment as the thing that happens. Wow, I said that in a terrible way. Something bothers me, right? And I have that instinctual reaction to be not the person I want to be. I want to be able to, in the moment, go, that's not how I want to show up for this. I want to show up like this, so I'm going to choose this over here. And it's taken me years to go from I reacted, and then hours later I thought about, oh, this is how I should have responded.
So important,
right? And so like I'm in total agreement too with like setting your day up for success. I'm huge on having a to-do list or a calendar. Like my Google Calendar is color coded, and like I can take it as a snapshot and be like, this is when I'm coaching a class, this is when I'm coaching a client, this is when I'm doing a sales call, this is when I'm at home with Peyton, this is when I'm going to work out, this is when I have a Zoom call. And like at a glance, I can look at it and it's all different colors, and I can tell you what I'm doing, right? If I don't look at that every night before I go to bed so I know what to prepare for the next day, I'd be lost. I'd be absolutely lost, and I would feel like you're talking about, just so behind, because I'd wake up the next morning, look at it, and go, oh, I didn't prepare for this mentally. I have no idea what I'm going to do about this, that, or the other thing. And then it's just mayhem and negativity in my brain, and it makes it so much harder for me to be the person I want to show up as, because I didn't prepare for it.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And something that you said there that's super interesting, that you look at your calendar at night. And I think this is a super important point, because as we grow as leaders and as we grow as people, you do read books and see things online. And the thing that has always stood out to me is like, plan your day the night before. That might work for some people. I stress the fuck out the night before.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, if I look at my calendar, like I know what my next day looks like. I've seen it throughout the day. I've taken it at a glance. But at 9:00 at night, I'm not looking at my fucking calendar for the next day. I can't. Now I'll wake up at fucking 4 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, and attack it.
Right.
And look at my day like, okay, I'll play.
Yeah.
But I can't do that. But that's me personally.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's how I work.
Yeah.
And my post 9:00 day, like after 9:00, I'm done. I'm 100% done.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I'll read a book. That's the only thing I will do. I'll read a book, and I usually actually read from 9 to 9:30. I give myself about 30 minutes a day to settle down at night, read,
Right.
And really detach from everything.
That's your cool down. That's your wind down.
That is, that's my cool down for sure. That's my getting on a treadmill after the workout and cooling down for sure.
Got it.
But that's really important that you say that, because not everybody, it's what works for you.
Absolutely.
And when you started this, you said it perfectly. Is like, what are the things you have done to build that foundation and to make sure that you're centered when you need to get centered, or when you need to realign yourself and recenter yourself.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I have done, because I know myself. Here's another thing. You actually just said it, which is how do you react to things, and what are you a calm reactor? Are you an overreactor?
Right.
I am traditionally an overreactor. I get very emotional. I see something or read something or am told something in a meeting, whatever the case may be, and I, in the past, have tended to be, no, it's not like that, and maybe say something stupid or not think that through. So one of the things that I have done for myself is, whenever I get bad news, or I get something from work that I don't like, or that a client has told me something that I don't like, whatever the case may be, I go for a walk. Okay. Now I've been taking a lot of walks lately, but I go for a walk. Why? I know that the person that shows up, the side of me that shows up when I am reactionary, when I am not thinking through, when I am not breathing, okay, and I haven't walked it off, is not the person that I want to show up. It's not the version of me that I want other people to perceive, that I want to be, that I want to live like. We always talk about what's the person that you want to be, or who's that person that you want to emulate. I don't like that guy. Okay, I've been that guy, and I don't like that guy. That guy makes stupid fucking mistakes, says stupid shit, and is not centered and is not thinking things through. And I have made that change where when I feel that, I go for a walk. I go for a walk. I relax. I breathe. Sometimes I don't even listen to anything. Sometimes I'll listen to a podcast, but I just go for a nice long walk, get a sweat in, or a workout. But most of the times when it's post workout, when I get that type of news, whatever, because in the morning you're just getting work stuff. At least me. And I will go for a walk, and even non-work stuff, like if I have a fight with Mari, if we argue about something and it's really bad, whatever the case may be, just like go for a walk, relax, step away. And I've always been, and Mari and I had to get over this, or I had to get over it really, where I am what's the problem? Let's go. Let's talk about it. Like right now. Like let's get it over with. Like, and Mari's not that type of person. Mari's a step back, like relaxed type person. And I've noticed that for me to be the best version of myself, I need to step back. I need to take a walk. I need to relax. I need to breathe. And that's been a big change. So I'm glad that you brought that up too, because it's so important. It's like, who's that person? These are the little things in life, man, that are little things to you, but when you look back and when you start to look at things and you start to look at your days and your months, or and your weeks and your months and your years stack up, and you're like, fuck, man, these little things are not little things. They're big things. Like the waking up in the morning, and it's those little things that stack up. It's those little habits, those little understanding of your own personality that you need to veer off, and you need to do something different, or you need to, change your habit or change the way you react to something. It's those little things that start to stack up that make you either an asshole or a better person. And it's that self-awareness, man, like being able to step back and say, okay, I'm just not doing this correctly, and it's that. It's like the negative talk. You were talking about the negative, the inner critic, like the negative talk. Like, me and I talk all the time.
Me, myself, and I, we have a three-way conversation.
Me and Mari talk about that all the time, and it's I've historically been a very big critic of myself, and very negative of myself, and that's tough, man. That's a tough thing to get over, because you want to be so self-aware of yourself, right? Because you see other people not being so self-aware. You're like, no, I need to be self-aware of myself, and I need to call my shit out before anybody else does. But a lot of the times, like, you also need to praise yourself before anybody else praises yourself, because sometimes they don't.
Yeah. I want to challenge some of your. That's fine. I want to challenge some of your wording, right? Yeah. You're talking about the way that you react. I'm in the camp that reacting and responding are very different, right? So you're not going on a walk so you can react differently. You're going on a walk so that you can choose how you want to respond. And
that's a great way of phrasing it. Yes.
And I heard this from a guy named Ben Bergeron, who is a CrossFit coach. He's very well known in the CrossFit space. Yeah. He has an excellent podcast called Chasing Excellence that I used to listen to religiously, and now I listen to it when it has a topic that it feels like it's speaking to me, right? And a while back, he was talking about the reason that we're different than all other animals is because we have that cognitive ability to choose how we react to things. We don't let our instincts take over. Those are our emotions. Those are our reactions. Those are our knee-jerk things, right? And that's why it's called being responsible, being able to respond. It is our ability to respond. We have the responsibility to choose how we react.
You're 100% correct.
And so when you talk about these things, you're going on it. To me, when you say the word react, I keep hearing you don't have control. I keep hearing I go on this way so I can react a certain way. It's like, no, you're going on this walk so that you know that the choice you're about to make next is intentional in the way you respond. Because a reaction to me is involuntary. It's almost like your quarterback throws an interception. You jump up and go, It's like you just reacted.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you had seen it, like you see it a couple times on replay and you go, maybe he was throwing in triple coverage and that, like, he didn't see it, like whatever.
Yeah.
Now you're responding.
Yeah.
That's a very bad analogy, but it's
no. It's funny because that actually happened to me the other day in therapy.
Nice.
In couples therapy, actually, and something happened, and the therapist saw that my reaction was not negative, but I was just I was a little taken back. I didn't like where the conversation was headed, and she asked me blatantly. She's like, your aura changed. Like,
yeah, you had a visceral response.
Exactly, and she goes, she said it. She goes, your reaction is fine. Like, it's your reaction. It's your gut instinct. Like, that's what you feel. It's fine. She goes, but what is it? Like, how can we, and I told her, and I said something to the effect of, like, my response is not going to be great. So, like, give me some time and I'll, let me process it, whatever. Yeah. And I think that's the best example of what I was trying to say. Yes. Yeah. And you eloquently put it together is I go for a walk so that I can make sure that I'm intentional with the way that I respond.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I think you hit something very important there, is that, like, there's nothing wrong with the way that you react. It is your emotions. No. There's nothing inherently wrong with feeling that reaction.
Correct.
Let me rephrase. Yeah. There's nothing inherently wrong with the way you feel. There might be a way in which you interpret that emotion into action, but feeling a type of way, there's nothing wrong with that. You feel hurt, you feel angry, you feel whatever. Those feelings are great. You should never suppress those feelings, but you should also not make decisions or choices on what you're going to say based off of those emotions, because it's not going to be your brain making that decision. You're not going to show up as the person you want to be. And that's ultimately what we're all trying to do. We're all trying to be the type of person that, whatever it is that you want that person to be, right? Do you want to be the person who's angry all the time? Great. Then react to everything angry. If you want to be the type of person who is understanding, compassionate, empathetic, able to compromise, discuss hard topics, to have difficult conversations, be trustworthy, then you can't react to everything. You're not going to gain someone else's trust. You're not going to have somebody else care for you in the way that you could if you were able to process in the moment, right? Which is what we're all working towards, your emotions in order to respond the right way.
Yeah. No. Agree. 100%. There's a sense of empathy that you have to have with yourself, of like, hey, it's okay to feel this way. That's a tough topic. It's tough because it's funny, in that same conversation, in that same therapy session, we discussed this because of the things that have happened to me in life and how I've kind of gone through certain situations, etc. And I think it's just very innate. I'm naturally a problem solver. Like, I like to solve problems.
Yes.
And that can get construed at not being empathetic.
Yes.
And
hi.
Yeah.
Pot kettle. All right, here we go.
Which is funny because that's what set me off in that therapy session. Okay. Because long story short, not to dive too deep into it, but it was something that Mari was very emotional about, and I tried to approach it in a very problem-solving way with the way that I was dealing with her, like almost like, hey, this is gonna happen, and we're gonna be okay. Like that, and that's
You're trying to be reassuring.
Yeah, and that's how I am. I'm very fix-it, reassuring, rah. Like,
you are fix-it, Felix.
I'm the Ted Lasso of my family.
Believe
100%. By the way, I got called the Ted Lasso of our company the other day because my team's 100%.
Now you do need to do the mustache.
I do need to do the mustache. Absolutely not. That's not happening. But
Photoshop.
Yeah. But I come at everything because I guess I've always had to be the problem solver. I come at everything at a very problem solving level, and not a very empathetic level. And I think, ironically enough, I get this from my dad, because my dad's the same way. My dad's a problem solver. He's a problem solver of the family. But my dad lacks empathy for a lot of situations.
Yeah, because he sees the solution.
And I don't say it in a bad way. He sees the solution.
Sees the solution.
Why can't you see it? Let's go. Let's move forward. Like, it's fine.
Let's take the next step.
Yeah, let's take the next step. And it's like, no, dog. Like, let me soak in my tears. And I'm the same way.
I have a theory on this. My theory is that person has done the work emotionally on themselves. They don't need to dwell in what we're dwelling in. He doesn't need to feel that anymore. He's able to not leapfrog it, but he's able to process it so much quicker and then be like, cool, here's the next step that you're going to take.
So in the situation specifically with Mari, that's what set me off, was I was coming at it in I already cried for you. By the way, I haven't said this to Mari. Like, I haven't been able to eloquently say it.
You better say it before we release this episode.
It's coming live. Babe, watch this show.
now.
Yeah. No, but we'll have this conversation. But I already was. I was already depressed about it. I was already sad about it. I was already like, it already hurt me. And then I got over it.
Went through it.
And I went through it. And I fought through it.
Yeah.
And I said, no, here are the reasons why that we can get through it. And we're going to get through it.
You processed it.
And when I approached her already with it, it was already like, hey, here's the problem, but don't worry about the problem. I've got solutions for you. You know what I mean? And it's not a salesman tactic. No. It's a I don't want you to feel the same thing that I felt. So let's move forward.
Yeah. As a manager, I would appreciate that approach. You came to me with a problem and a possible solution already in the bank.
Right.
So you're not relying on me to solve your problem, right? So employee to manager, that's great. Relationship to relationship, it's very different, but we're wired in a way that we want to solve the problem. We want to get to the goal. We want to win the prize. We want to whatever. It's that athlete. It's that man stuff. It's all that. One thing that Megan and I had this talk. I don't know. Maybe it was a year ago. Maybe it was right before Peyton. We had this talk about how we process things differently, and we had been having big fights where one of us would have to leave the house. Like, we were blowing up at each other, and it was like someone needs to go on a drive or a walk or whatever, and the only thing you have to do is reassure that you're coming back.
Yeah,
like
been there, done that.
This is not a I'm leaving you forever. I hate you. We're getting divorced. But we had to have that talk too, because that wasn't always the case. Someone would leave and not say whether or not they were coming back, and anyways. So one of the things that I started implementing, and I have to be conscious of it. I have to be aware of the situation in the moment, because I'll jump on here's what do you think you should do? Here's what I think you should do, right? The problem solver. You ask the very simple question: do you want me to solve it, or do you want me to listen? And if she says I don't know, she wants you to listen. Just so you know, if you're watching this, do you want help solving it, or would you like me to listen?
Yeah.
And because if they just want you to listen, they're not ready. They haven't gone through the emotional processing. And I'm not saying this about wives, women. Whoever's telling you their problem, right? Whoever's trusting you enough to vent to you about their situation either needs someone just to hear them and say, I hear you. I understand what you're saying. That sounds really difficult. How can I help? Right? And then there's the person who's like, what do I do? Okay, here's what you do. Right? But you have to make sure that you're both on the same page in that, or you can have those miscommunications, I guess is the best way to classify them, in that someone's already processed it and they're ready for the next step, but the other party isn't.
And I think it's such a trait of a leader to understand that you're not always needed as a manager. Sometimes it's okay to ask that question. Do you need me to listen to you, or do you need me to figure out this thing and move forward? What do you need for us to move forward? And that's such an important, because I fought it last week. I fought that. But as I continue to dive into it, I'm like, well, the leader in me, the person that I want to be, needs to be empathetic to my wife in those moments, or at least that's not my natural reaction to be empathetic. It's to be what did you say? Not Wreck-It Ralph.
Fix It Felix.
Great reference, by the way. We need to have a little guy Fix It Felix. I don't know if like IP wise, if licensing wise, we can put that in our podcast, but we'll try. Or we'll get a.
We'll just slap a smiley face over it.
Or we'll get a letter from Disney. But having that conversation with yourself, and sometimes you need to be empathetic, and I fought it, but sometimes it's okay to just sit down and listen and say, this is not a problem solving moment. I will solve the problem. I've already solved the problem for you, but we're not going to talk about that. How do you feel? And how can I make you feel, or how can I let you know that your feelings are valid and that you're good to feel that way right now, because and it's what you were talking about earlier. Like, sometimes your reactions are reactions, and like it's okay, you know.
How long did it take you to, in this particular story that you shared, how long did it take you to go from problem solver to empathetic supporter?
So it took me a couple days after the therapy that I joked with Mari.
Okay.
That I would say I think getting out of the gym one of the days I even told you like your feelings are valid, and Mari was right behind me. She's like, all right, it's getting a little old. So I was fucking around with it a little bit. It took me about a week.
Okay.
And the only angle that really moved me was the leadership angle, because naturally my ego said, and my natural reaction is like, no, you are the fixer of the family. Like I don't care what Mari says, like I'm going to fix your problems.
Yeah.
Because naturally that's what I feel.
That's what you take pride in.
And that's what I take pride in. Like I honestly feel like, no, I am going to fix your problem. I don't care if you need me to be empathetic, but I also look at it as the leadership angle, and a good leader will be empathetic and will understand like what does that person need in order to grow, in order to get over that and move forward. And at the end of the day, like I need Mari to ride with me. I need Mari to row with me. I need her right next to me. And if she's stuck in the back, I'm fixing the problems up front, and she's stuck in the back crying and not rowing with me, then what's the fucking point? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the angle I've taken in this is like, no, like how do I bring her up to speed with me? Like, do I need to sit down with you? Let's be empathetic.
And you're not saying that that's her fault. You're saying that like,
no, right. How can I
bring her along?
No, what I'm saying is like, I already was crying in the back. I was already crying. Like, I cried over this issue. You know, I felt this issue already. Now you're going through your moment, but I'm running over here or rowing over here, whatever the case may be.
Right.
How do I now sit with you?
Yeah.
Let's talk it out. Like you are valid in what you feel, because I felt that.
Yeah.
And then how do I get you up to speed with this situation?
How do I help you move through it the way I moved through it?
Correct.
To get so that we're together again.
Correct.
Because we're not together at the moment.
And by default, because of my because of my entrepreneurship and the business dealings that I've been in, the pitfalls that I've been in, and the heartbreak that I've had, naturally I almost have calluses, right? Like naturally I get over things now very quickly. It sucks because I feel like I'm turning into, and I'm not, because I'm very empathetic, and I'm not turning into this, but sometimes I feel like I'm turning into that callous asshole business person that just gets over shit. It's like, all right, let's move to the next project.
On to the next one.
Yeah, and it's not that you're doing that. It's just that by default you kind of have to, because there's so many, things. So naturally I come at a lot of these situations like that too, is where I get over them quickly. Yes, do I dive deep into it? Do I cry over it? Do I get emotional? Yes, I do. Like there was 3 months ago, 2 months ago, I found out that I was trying to petition for a company that was looking for our service. We were marketing for them, and they were looking for a CMO, but to bring on like a team, a CMO type deal, whatever. So I petitioned for it. I sent my proposal and whatnot, and I thought it was going to take what we were doing for this company to the next level. Okay. I think it was a little bit of a timing issue. We kind of came late into the game. They're also in a very big growth spurt right now, so there was just other things, and we didn't get the gig. Okay, we didn't get the gig, and then that day that I'm specifically talking about, we also got an email from one of the places or one of the franchises that we were doing business with specifically that told us that they weren't going to use us anymore. Obviously, not in a negative way. It was very coordinated. Like they were moving with another CMO and moving another route, and respectfully, they weren't going to use our services. It's fine. It happens all the time. That was devastating to me.
Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt.
Right.
It's still business.
No. It was devastating to me. I text Mari and I was like, this one hurts so much because we put a lot of pride into it, and I felt like a lot of what happened wasn't our fault. Again, I'm very what can I do better first, right? Or what could have I done better first?
100%.
But when I really looked at it, I was like, man, we were really doing everything possible to give the best foot forward, put our best foot forward, and I felt like a lot of it was on the other side, not giving us the resources that we needed, etc. Long story short, I told myself that day, You got 3 hours. I swear to you, I put a timer.
Yeah.
Okay, it was maybe like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I put a timer and it said you have 3 hours to be a bitch. Literally told myself that.
Yeah.
You have 3 hours to cry about it, to sulk about it, to do whatever you want in a healthy way. I'm not saying that I was going to go pound a bottle of fucking rum, and I didn't, right? Which in the past I would have, and that's growth. Not pounding a bottle of rum, growth, awesome. Great job, guy. Way to
but still,
you know what I mean. And what you know what I did? Which I never do. I put on Netflix. I don't know what I fucking binged that day. And for 3 hours straight, I just sat on the couch, not doing shit, and I sulked. I don't remember what I watched because I didn't watch any of it. Because I was just sulking the whole time. Like, what could we have done differently? What could they have done differently? How the fuck did we lose this account? Like, sulked, okay? After those 3 hours, the timer was up, and I swear to you, I text Monty. I said, I'm over it. We're good. Let's move forward, because I had texted her before the 3 hours, and I was like, this sucks. I'm not okay. And after the 3 hours, I got my fucking ass up from the couch. I took a walk, and when I got back, I was sweating. I felt good, and I was like, all right, move on to the next one. And honestly, that's been part of my. There's a really good book I want you to read. Choose Your Enemies Wisely. Okay. Patrick Bet Davis, and I had just read the book, and he talks about that. He's like, sometimes your enemies are not necessarily quote unquote enemies. They're just people that maybe didn't believe in you or whatever the case may be. And it's not negative to them. It's just something that you use as fuel to take the next step. And in this specific case, I used that mentality.
Got you.
Okay. I have no negative ill will towards that company, or on the contrary, the owner of the company, which is actually friends of ours.
Right.
Great dude. I love him to death. And he had sent me, and he sent me a great text after and an email. And I really do. I love him. He's a cool dude. And I'm sure we'll do things in the future, but I've used that as fuel to fuel what we are doing now, because it hurt a lot. And that's kind of part of it. I don't know why I went on a tangent, but what the original point was. But the sulking, the sulking,
the sulking and bouncing back, and going through it. And I think that story is a great example of being knocked off your center, right? Which was the whole point of today.
Way to center the conversation.
Hey, I'm trying to. All I do is rein you in, my guy. I'm just the guy with the lasso.
We do.
That's why I wear the hat.
I go off on a tangent.
No. But I think that's a great example business-wise of how you get knocked off your center, and the way that you process it is you set some parameters, you operate within those parameters, you really like hardcore go into it in your head, then you take a clearing walk, and you go, all right, here's my problem-solving brain working while I walk, and then when I get done with my walk, here's step one. I'm gonna start going from there, right? And I think that this particular example is one that is going to propel your business and your growth a lot further. And I told you that the other day when you told me this story. I think that it's a great learning, and I think that you're already pivoting in a way that's going to make you more valuable in the future.
Appreciate that.
And I can't wait to see what that is. I can't wait to hear about the next one that you crush even better, because you're going to. I think that for me, I'm still reeling from my failure of my business.
I wanted to pivot there.
I can see it. I can see it in your eyes.
Segue.
I'm still reeling from mine, but I think it's because I'm still in it.
Yeah, that's the tough part.
And so there's not a lot that I really want to talk about
or
in it,
really.
or can, because it's still ongoing, and it's still very much a big part of my personal struggle behind the scenes. And so when it's time to share that story, I will 100%. Yeah. But it is definitely something that I could not have done the 3-hour binge, go for a walk and been done with it. I have tried to put some of it on the back burner. I've tried to say, okay, cool, it's done now, right? Everything's going to be good from now on. I'm going to put my best foot forward. And then, another hurdle comes up, and it's almost like it reminds me of like a breakup. And you're like away from that person for a week, and then you see them out at the mall,
or you hear a song.
Yeah, you hear a song, and you're
fuck.
like, yeah, what's his name? John Legend's "All of Me" comes on, and you're just like,
for whatever reason.
Let it burn.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but like, yeah, exactly. You see them for the first time since then, and it all just like comes back for a second.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of reopening of the wound right now for me. So I'm
That's
diving.
tough.
I'm diving further into what does that mean as the person I want to show up as? How can I continue to do work on myself so that maybe the next one, if it does end less than ideally, that I'm able to process it quicker. I'm able to process it more adequately, maybe is where I'm going with it. But to be, it's given me the opportunity, as I'm not owning a business right now, I'm just working in a business as an employee, to work on other aspects of my life, like work on being a better husband, a better father, being more attentive in those things, because I was spending a lot of my time trying to build this business in a certain way that I had to be selfish so that eventually I could be selfless, provided the business succeeded, and it didn't. So that selfishness, I guess, in some people's eyes might not have paid off, but I think it's too soon to tell.
Yeah.
I haven't taken away all of the learnings I could possibly learn from failing the way that I did and trying to do something I believe so wholeheartedly and still so wholeheartedly believe in, that maybe in the future I'll get another chance at it. But the process of being back to my center there is much more wavering, I think, than maybe what you're going through right now. In that, like, I'll get back to my center and I feel like I'm just kind of like I'm not quite dead center field. I'm like left center. I'm playing a shift. You know what I mean?
But you know where the center's at.
But I know where center's at. I know where I'm trying to get to.
That's so important.
Yeah. I know where center's at. That is important. That if you don't know where your center's at, you don't know which way you're heading.
And I feel like a lot of people live like that. They do.
Do you think that they? Okay, so let me try and get clearer on this. Because do you think they don't know and so they aren't looking for it, or they don't know and they are looking for it?
They don't know, like they don't know they need a center. Is that the first question? Like,
I think more like, I think people believe in a center. I think people believe in a state of happiness or success or whatever buzzword is going on right now. And right now we're using center as that, right? Let's call that. So they're content, but not to a disability, right?
Okay.
There are people who are content being the Netflix guy all the time, right? That's a contentment that I would say that person's not happy.
correct.
So I'm seeking a center where people are content and happy, right? Where those words are synonymous. Okay, so now we've got that parameter. Do you think that people believe they're centered because they don't know where center is? Or do you think people know they're not centered but just don't know how to find it?
I think most people are not aware that they're not centered.
Okay. What leads you in that direction? I agree with you. What leads you in that direction?
That's not something that it's not a topic that most people talk about or even think about. I think we live in such a fucking hectic world that most people don't even have that conversation. It's not even something that they're looking for real. Like
No. I agree 100% with what you're saying.
They're oblivious to the fact that they need to be centered, and it's such a broad, like, centered, like, what does that fucking mean, right? And we've discussed it, but like for most people, I don't even think they know that they need to be centered. For most of my life, I didn't know that I needed to be centered and what the fuck that meant, and how do I, and then when I do know that I need some sort of centering or consistency or habits, when you do realize that, then it's like, man, which ones do I need? Like, what do I need to do to, like what you said, what you started with the conversation, like for me to be able to feel that peace and tranquility and that I'm moving forward and that I can help my family. Like, what are those habits and those systems that I need to build for my life? That's a very deep hole, like deep black hole that people need to walk through.
I want to repeat what you just said. Your centered is peaceful, tranquil, family centric, and the sight to move forward. Like, I'm not saying that's all of it, but those are 4 pillars of your centered.
Sure. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Someone else's could be completely different, right? My centered is self-assurance, right? Knowing who I am and operating within my core values, right? My centered is my wife is able to talk to me about anything, right? We have open communication. My centered is making sure that I exercise regularly, right? As fitness is a big part of my life.
That's part of mine.
My centered is being able to see what's next moving forward. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And my centered is I know exactly where I stand with my daughter, right? I know exactly what I'm trying to show up as for her. And like those are the big four things I think for me. And with that, I feel like the peaceful, tranquil contentment come as a byproduct. Kind of like achieving the goal comes as a byproduct of being the person you want to be, stacking the habits of the person you want to be. And so you're talking about how to define centered. I think it's different for everybody.
It is different for everybody, yeah.
But I love that you said it like that, just in a flow state, and like I repeated it back to you, and you went, "Oh shit!" And I saw it like click. You're like, "Yes, there's more to it," but yes, that's it.
I think those are the outcomes of what I feel centered is. But again, like we always talk about,
But what you do is different,
right? And how you get there,
Yes.
is so important.
That is the
and
have.
I think that's right. And I think that's probably the most important part, because sure, I think most people are like, yeah, I want to feel peaceful, or I want to have a.
They want to have the thing.
They want to have the thing.
They want to have
but
the
it's
thing.
how to do that, right? And understand that to be centered, you need to do these groundwork things, man. Like it is the way that I wake up and I go downstairs and I make my coffee in the morning. Like those things that you think are just daily routines. Okay, the way that you're intentional about those fucking things is so powerful, because that is the building blocks of your consistency and your habits. And in the Habits book, he talks about that.
The Habits book. we reference it so much we don't even call it the name anymore.
Okay, what's the
Atomic
name?
Habits.
Atomic Habits.
Dude, I was just getting ready to say, how many times do you think we have to mention be, do, have before James Clear talks
It's
to us?
fucking insane, for real, or is on this podcast. Fucking A, man. It is those little things that you take for granted that are so important to your habits and how you become centered and how you get to that outcome that people, for real, like, and to your original question, I think most people don't even know.
Don't even know.
That they need it.
They're unaware.
And it's so important.
I think that it's funny that when you bring up that book, I literally just recommended that book to a new client yesterday.
So
and I
powerful.
explained the base premise of Be Do Have, and she was like, that sounds amazing. I ordered that book. She's like, I'm gonna order that book. And then like 2 minutes later I got another text, ordered. I was like, great, good. Can't wait to talk to you about it, because me and my guy, we talk about it, and almost every time we talk, it somehow comes up. It's just that impactful.
The best quote out of that book: we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems or habits, if you will.
Yeah.
And that is so fucking powerful, because it is the truth. Like, it doesn't matter what your goals are. It doesn't matter what your vision is. If you don't have the systems, if you don't have the habits,
as much as people talk about how boring routine can be, we are creatures of habit. And if you can instill those, and think about the first time you ever did something, it took you forever, but you do it the 100th time, the 1,000th time, the 10,000th time, it's going to be faster. You're going to get better at it. And if you stack the right habits and you do them all 1,000 times, you can do them all so much quicker and then get more done. You can go on to the next thing.
Correct.
And it's just like you were talking about, in your expansion journey right now, establishing new systems, right? You're taking the ones that you can copy and paste, but now you're having to build other ones from the ground up, and it's just so time consuming, and it's so much effort and so much emotional energy.
But it's so important.
But it's so important.
It's the groundwork people don't want to make.
Yeah, because you know what happens when you don't do that, and you know what happens when you do. You've seen both sides of that coin, and to know how much better it is on the other side of doing the work. Is something that you it's a very special thing that you have that a lot of people don't, because they haven't done the work. So I think it's cool.
It's funny, to piggyback off that real quick. Last week we had a discussion on that, because for a good while there, probably in the first year that I was building VBL, a lot of our meetings were like my meetings with Vanessa, which is my right hand. Even my ads meeting with our ads manager. A lot of them were like for no reason. They were.
Yeah.
But it was the showing up. It was the process. It was we're going to meet because at some point we're going to have a lot more things to talk about. Even if we just talk about, raising an ad spend for one client a little bit, right now, and it's a 5-minute meeting. But we're building the building blocks. We're setting the building blocks for what our company is going to be and how we're going to operate and how we're going to perform. And now that we're in the weeds, now that we're growing, now that we are, those meetings are really necessary. Everybody's used to them. Everybody's ready. Everybody knows their calling card. Everybody knows how to show up to that meeting and what is needed in those meetings, because we built it from the ground up. We built it from the beginning. That's what you were talking about last podcast. Like, it's not fake it till you make it. It's do till you make it. Like, it is show up, build the habits, build the building blocks, so that when you do grow and you do get it, in our case, clients do come in and we have this growth, the building blocks, the systems, the habits of those meetings, those important meetings, and I say meetings, but
could be anything.
It could be anything. The processes, the systems are built. You're not building them when the clients come in. And it's very similar how we talk about, like, become the person that you want to be, even before you are that person. You know, and it's the same thing. Become the company that you want to be even before you are that company. It's so important.
You will hear that imitation is the highest form of flattery, but I think it's you need to emulate something. You need to have some kind of blueprint to work off of, and it doesn't mean that you need to be the next Gary Vee. You don't need to do what he did, but if you want to be somebody in the social media space, maybe that's where maybe that's your jumping off point. You strive to be as close to Gary Vee as you can with whatever your topic
emulate
is.
It. Like, emulate it as close as possible.
Emulate it does not mean copy it.
No.
But emulating is taking the pieces of it that you think are most valuable and trying to do those as best you can. Right? I think it's a good place to wrap up for today.
In true fashion, we could talk for another 3 hours.
We could talk. Well, as long as another hornet doesn't show up. Call back to that dead asshole.
You're gonna have to put, like, really cool music for that moment, like maybe like Looney Tunes or something.
Oh my God, Flight of the Bumblebee or something over it. So overrated, underrated. We talked a little bit about this just before this podcast, and I want to take it back to the fitness realm specifically today. And I want to talk about body weight exercises.
Ooh.
Are they overrated? Are they perfectly rated? Or are they underrated in today's fitness landscape as you see it on social media?
Underrated.
Okay. Expand.
You know, I always do. Underrated. Again, it goes back to what we always talk about, like, start somewhere, progress, like just start, just do. And I think the easiest segue for people, or the easiest starting point for people to just get going is body weight. And I think a lot of the fitness industry has been hoarded out a little bit by, you know, if you're not bodybuilding, you're not working out, you're not lifting.
Or if you're not taking this supplement.
If you're not CrossFitting, you're not lifting. And it's bullshit. Like, a walk is okay. You had a reel about it the other day. Like, it's okay to take a walk. That's good. You're getting your blood flow. There's so many benefits to it.
So many benefits.
You know, even if you walk every single day and then you stack on some body weight exercise, like, that's great. That's a great starting point. And it's okay to start there. So I am a big believer that body weight exercises, and anything that's done without weight, is a great start. Okay. I'm a big believer of lifting weights. I'm a big believer of resistance training. I'm a huge proponent of that. But it's okay to start with the resistance being your own weight. And I'm a big believer in that. What we're doing now at the gym, some of the iterations that we're doing of in this programming that you put together, that you guys have put together, like, you know, the push-up, pull-up today. So much power in that. So much growth.
Hard.
It's so hard.
It was so hard.
You know, and today I took it light. I was doing just like 12 to 15 or whatever, because again, I haven't found the rhythm in the gym. So it's like every time I come back, it's just like literally
you're operating at a different stress level, and you're moderating your output.
My season right now in the gym is not go hard,
maintain.
Yeah, it's really just like get in, maintain. So I wasn't really going all out like you guys were, and I saw you were pumping it today. But man, what a great workout! It's incredible, and it was all body weight in the beginning, like just pull-ups, push pull.
Yep.
You know, so powerful, so very underrated.
Okay.
In my estimation.
Perfect. I mean, I 100% agree, which is why I proposed the question.
Yeah.
But I agree that even the people who have done resistance training and they're doing the CrossFit or the whatever, they need to go back to the fundamentals, because there's something about resistance training. We get caught up in the ego and we forget about, well, how well are we actually moving? And one of the things that we do when we bring a new person into the gym, whether they're going to go into one-on-ones or they're going to join the group, is we take them through a mobility assessment. We do a joint by joint assessment of their ankles, their knees, their hips, their shoulders, and their wrists, to make sure that the positions we're going to ask them to get into the gym, they can actually do, or their body is capable of, is an even better way to put it. Because if you cannot support your own body weight in a squat, or you cannot bend over and create tension in your hamstrings versus your back, there is no way we should be putting weight on you. And then there's a point at which in your training, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months down the road, where you are loading it up and you are going to what is ever your maximal load, but it's going to cause you to get out of position. And if you do not come back to, oh, well, how is this supposed to feel? It should never feel different. It should just feel more intense in the right areas when you're doing weighted exercise. And so I really like that this program right now, the cycle that we're on, has that body weight component of the pull-ups and the push-ups, because not only are we doing it because we're going to be doing Murph for Memorial Day, and this will probably come out far after Memorial Day, but we're doing Murph for Memorial Day. So this is kind of that preparation for that. We're upping the volume, but to always have those body weight movements in the program to kind of check in. And it's like checking the oil in your car. You got to make sure it's running right. You got to make sure it's smooth. You got to make sure everything is greased, and that it's not the external factors that are making it happen. You're not the person who needs 300 pounds on their back to get to the bottom of a squat. No, your body can get there on its own. Your body is strong and capable without it. I always tell people that the reason that I want them to be able to air squat is so that if they ever go to a music festival, they don't ever have to sit on the porta potty.
That's awesome.
They could be the hoveriest hoverer ever, and they can just hover, and they're great. And then for the people who are more our clientele, that we're more in the 40 to 60 age range right now. When you get to 80, 90, 100, I want you to be the person who doesn't need a nurse to come in and help you go to the bathroom. I want you to be able to go on your own, get up, and leave on your own.
So powerful, yeah.
Because there's something to be said about the power of having your own body and not being trapped within it. It's one of the reasons I got into fitness, is because I've watched people deteriorate and they're trapped in their own body. And then they're not happy. They're not centered. And there's nothing they can do about it, though. It's too late.
I've felt that.
It's too late for a lot of people, and I don't want that for anybody. So underrated. That was my spiel on body weight. Sorry to leave you with my soapbox. I'll step down now.
No, you're good.
But thank you again for the time.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate the conversation, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
It's a wrap.
Boom.
That was nice.